अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मेरा नाम राय नज़र है। राय नज़र है आप, और आप देख रहे हैं मेरा वीलॉग RNH स्पॉटलाइट। अमेरिका के हालिया इलेक्शन में हमने देखा कि इलॉन मस्क ने एक कलीदी किरदार अदा किया ट्रंप की जीतने में। दुनिया का सबसे अमीर तरीन इंसान। लेकिन इसमें हम देखते हैं कि मुख्तलिफ लोग इसके बारे में मुख्तलिफ राय का इजहार कर रहे हैं। न्यूयॉर्क टाइम के डेविड न्यूशॉ हैं, वो इसे ब्रोमैंस का नाम देते हैं। जो न्यूशॉ हैं is the author of biographies of William Randolph Hearst, Andrew Carnegie, and Joseph P. Kennedy. Very famous writer himself. He writes, "So sorry, Elon Musk, but the bromance with Trump is not going to last. I know the president-elect put you on the phone with President Volodymyr Zelensky, that's the Ukrainian president, the night after the election. And I know that Donald Trump's victory speech after obligatory but abbreviated nods to his beautiful wife, that's Melania, his amazing children, and his feisty vice president-elect. He celebrated your super genius as only he could in a disjointed, discombobulated, widely overextended paean and declaration of love. Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star, Trump said. A star is born, and his name is Elon Musk. That's what Trump said. Yet, Mr. Elon Musk, therein lies your problem. There's a room for only one star, one genius in the Trump White House. As the president-elect has told us time and time again, he is one smart fellow and a very stable genius. He's not going to share his victory and center stage with anyone. And why should he? What more would you have to offer, having spent in excess of $100 million to help secure his election? The writer in New York Times goes on to write, Mr. Trump may be mercurial, but in this situation is highly unlikely to break his historical precedent. I predict, Mr. Elon, you will probably join the long list of genius businessmen, donors who were casually discarded by Donald Trump after they had served their purpose. For example, Andrew Carnegie, who was at the time just like you, the richest man in the world. Andrew Carnegie was a stalwart and generous contributor to the Republican presidents, William McKinley and Theodore Roosevelt. Carnegie naturally assured that he would, in return for his support and recognition of his genius, and one-on-one relationships with Europe's elected leaders and crowned heads he called upon as chief of foreign policy advisor when Roosevelt assumed the presidency in 1901. After McKinley's assassination, that's what happened. As such, he bombarded the White House with his recommendations for arbitration treaties between the major powers, which he believed would usher in a century of peace. His advice was dutifully acknowledged by Roosevelt and then ignored. That's what he says is going to happen to Elon Musk. And William Ranford Hearst, Mr. Musk, you got your millions of social media followers, but your outreach still pales in comparison with Hearst in his heyday. 28 big city newspapers he had, a syndicated wires service, radio stations, newsreels, and 13 magazines. Hearst's contributions to Franklin Roosevelt's 1932 presidential campaign were, like yours, Mr. Musk, as you have done to Mr. Trump's, extensive and varied. In addition to huge financial assistance, Hearst used his media empire to conduct virulent and near daily assaults on the incumbent, Herbert Hoover. What happened in the end? The day after the election, Hearst's wife, Millicent, sent a telegram to say that she had seen Roosevelt last night. He said he was going to telephone you. You are getting all the credit for his victory from everybody I meet. Hearst responded by forwarding his recommendations for cabinet appointments and an 11-point recovery plan for the United States of America, only to be ghosted by the president-elect. No letters, no telegrams, no phone calls, nothing. Almost 2 months later, Roosevelt finally issued an invitation to Hearst to visit him for private talks. The publisher declined, later producing a feature-length film based on a novel in which a guardian angel instructs a weak and unprepared president. He's talking about Elon Musk. He goes on to say, then there is Joseph Kennedy, a multi-millionaire who connected the candidate Roosevelt to Hearst as well as to Hollywood's most powerful tycoons, to Irish American voters. Identified by the New York Times as a key advisor, Kennedy fully expected to be rewarded with a cabinet post, preferably Treasury Secretary. Instead, He wound up commiserating with Hearst over being ghosted by the president-elect. Only in June 1934, more than a year and a half after the election, did Roosevelt finally offer Kennedy a place in his administration, though not in his cabinet, but as a chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. The writer is talking to Elon Musk and saying, Carnegie, Hearst, and Kennedy refrained from making demands on their candidates during the campaign. But you let Mr. Trump know early what you expected, Mr. Musk. In a glitchy, investstream conversation on X in August, in live stream, you interrupted his rambling monologue 3 times to recommend he reduce inflation by creating a government efficiency commission, which you would have and you are now going to have. Do you really believe Mr. Trump is going to give you that? This is not a man for whom loyalty is a strong suit. As a president, he parted ways with his chief of staff, his deputy chief of staff, his press secretary, his national security advisor, and his chief strategist. And that was just in his first year in office. The writer is giving his own opinion to Elon Musk and goes on to say, I'm not sure what you were thinking, or if you were thinking, when you clamored on that Madison Square Garden stage and claimed that as chief of the Department of Government Efficiency, a cringingly inappropriate shout out to Dogecoin, your favorite cryptocurrency. You would cut at least $2 trillion of government spending. The result of such a gutting would even conservative think tank analysts predict it will be nothing short of being catastrophic. It is nearly impossible to imagine a majority of Republican lawmakers endorsing your plans to slash a third of all federal spending. To do so would be political suicide. Perhaps that's part of the treason or part of the reason. Howard Lutnick, a co-chairman of Mr. Trump's transition team, recently explained that you were not coming into government, but would assist the new administration by writing software. He goes on to say, in his opinion, no matter your $44 billion purchase of Twitter, which you weaponized as a Trump campaign megaphone, and the many millions more you spent getting out the vote for your candidate were worthy investments. Tesla stock, the source of your wealth, is soaring, and both Tesla and SpaceX, which have already received one $15.4 billion in federal grants, will probably continue to be showered in government dollars. Even more important, you and your companies will probably be left alone under Donald Trump rule to do as you please. For the next few years, nobody will pester you about you deploy where your Starlink internet satellites. And no allegations will be made about potential stock or crypto manipulations. No worries about doing business with Russia or flooding X with political misinformation. No irritating crash investigations of Tesla's self-driving cars either. You and your Silicon Valley buddies can anticipate a profitable future in which the federal government acts as a silent, passive paymaster, doling out billions of dollars, then looking the other way as they're spent. The combination of a transactional president and an eccentric billionaire means you will get to be an official advisor or unofficial whisperer, while the recipient of government largesse. The writer goes on to say to Elon Musk, whatever your future role in the Trump administration, Mr. Musk, you can bask in the glory of being publicly proclaimed a super genius by none other than the President-elect of the United States of America. The writer, in his point of view, also says you can don that white tie and attend fancy dinners honoring the foreign leaders you both admire. Grab some real photo ops and manufacture more and for as long as it lasts. Enjoy another moment in the limelight. This time as the kingmaker, who was adopted by the royal family itself. In his ironic form and his satirical style, he goes on to say, as insurance against being prematurely discarded, you can, as you have already announced, continue to stay involved in politics with your well-funded political action committee poised to weigh in heavily in the midterms and thereafter. Perhaps even you see the writing on the wall. This was David Newshaw, who is an emeritus professor of history at the Graduate Center and author of most recently book that is The Last Million, Europe's Displaced Persons from World War to Cold War. My name is RNH and you are watching my vlog by the name of RNH Spotlight.